Jisoo sat in the dark monitoring room, her eyes fixed on the screens that showed endless streams of data from deep space. She had been doing this job for 3 years now, listening to the whispers of the galaxy. Most days were boring. Radio signals from distant stars, automated beacons from human colonies, and the occasional natural phenomenon that created interesting patterns. But tonight was different. The signal came from a region of space where no human had ever been. It was encrypted, complex, and clearly artificial. Jisoo's heart raced as she recorded it and began running it through the decryption programs. Whatever this was, it wasn't meant for human ears. 3 weeks passed. Jisoo barely slept, working obsessively on the signal. Her supervisor told her to drop it, that it was probably just some automated alien weather report, but something in her gut told her this mattered. On the 23rd day, at 4 in the morning, the encryption finally broke. What she read made her blood turn cold. The message was a report to something called the Galactic Council. It detailed humanity's expansion into space over the past 73 years. 47 colony systems established. Mining operations on 300 asteroids. A population growth rate that exceeded anything the Council had seen before. And then came the words that changed everything. Level 9. Expansion threat. Recommend immediate forced containment before human infestation spreads beyond quarantine possibility. Jisoo's hands shook as she forwarded the report to every senior officer she could think of. Within hours, she was sitting in a secure briefing room at Luna Command, facing Admiral Sora Nam, the head of Earth's United Defense Fleet. Admiral Sora was a small woman with sharp eyes and gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. She read the translated message 3 times before speaking. Yes, Admiral. I've verified the encryption patterns against known alien signatures. This is real. This is real. Sora leaned back in her chair. Then we have a problem. That same day, across the solar system, Captain Hyun Tae-young was conducting a routine patrol near the edge of explored space. The Silent Promise was a reconnaissance vessel, designed to be quiet and invisible. Its crew of 40 specialized in watching without being seen. Hyun was in his quarters, reading a message from his daughter back on Earth, when the ship's sensors officer knocked on his door. Captain, you need to see this. On the bridge, the main screen showed something that shouldn't exist. A fleet. Not just a few ships, but hundreds of them. Gathered in a previously empty region of space. The vessels were clearly alien, each design different from the next, representing multiple species. How many? Hyun asked quietly. We're still counting, sir. At least 800, possibly more arriving. They're organizing into formation. Hyun watched as more and more ships appeared, jumping in from faster-than-light travel. His stomach tightened. This wasn't an exploration fleet. This was an invasion force. Get us closer. Maximum stealth. I want to know what they're planning. For 3 days, the Silent Promise drifted closer, using the background radiation of nearby nebula gas to hide its signature. Dr. Eunji Kwon, the ship's xenobiologist, worked around the clock, translating the alien communications they intercepted. The picture she painted was grim. 12 alien species had formed a coalition. They called themselves the Galactic Council, though humanity had never heard of them before. They had been watching Earth for decades, growing increasingly alarmed at how fast humans spread through space. Now, they had decided to act. They're calling it a containment operation, Eunji explained to Hyun in the privacy of his ready room. They plan to blockade Earth, destroy our colony infrastructure, and force us back to our home planet. They want to keep us trapped in the Sol system forever. Can we fight them? Hyun asked. Eunji pulled up tactical data on her tablet. Not directly. Their technology is superior to ours in most ways. Their ships are faster, their weapons more powerful, their shields stronger. If this turns into a straight fight, we lose. Hyun stared at the fleet on his monitor. 4,000 ships now, according to the latest count. The largest military force ever assembled in this region of the galaxy. all pointed at Earth. "Send everything we've gathered to Luna Command," he ordered. "Maximum encryption. And tell them, we'll keep watching." Back at Luna Command, Admiral Sora gathered Earth's top military minds. Generals, admirals, scientists, and strategists filled the conference room. The holographic display showed the alien fleet's composition, analyzed by the best tactical computers humanity possessed. "We can't win a direct engagement," one general stated flatly. "We're outnumbered 10 to 1, and their individual ships are superior to ours. So we evacuate," another officer suggested. "Pull everyone back to Earth and Mars. Prepare for a siege?" Sora shook her head. "They'd just wait us out. We can't survive a years-long blockade." Silence fell over the room. Everyone understood what this meant. If the aliens reached Earth, humanity's future in space was over. They would be prisoners on their own planet, forever staring at the stars they could no longer reach. Then Commander Minho Choi, a tactical officer known for unconventional thinking, spoke up. "What if we don't fight fair?" Everyone turned to look at him. "Explain," Sora said. Minho stepped up to the holographic display. "Look at their formation. Look at how they communicate. Everything I've seen suggests these species fight with honor, with established rules. They announce their intentions, they form predictable battle lines, they follow protocols. And," the general prompted, "and humans don't fight like that. We never have. Every significant military victory in human history came from deception, from ambush, from doing what the enemy didn't expect. The Trojan Horse. Pearl Harbor. Operation Fortitude. We're good at lying in war," another officer scoffed. "You want to trick 4,000 advanced alien warships? I want to make them think we're weaker than we are," Minho replied. "I want to make them confident, comfortable, predictable. And then I want to hit them where they don't expect it." Admiral Sora studied the young commander for a long moment. Then, a small smile crossed her face. "Tell me more. Tell me more." Over the next 2 weeks, a plan took shape. It was risky, perhaps insane. It required perfect timing, absolute secrecy, and a willingness to bet everything on a single gambit. But as Sora looked at the alternatives, she realized they had no choice. The aliens expected humans to either run or fight desperately. Instead, humanity would do something the Galactic Council had never encountered before. They would set a trap. Jisoo, watching from her monitoring station as encrypted orders went out to every human ship and station in the solar system, felt a strange mix of fear and hope. She had started this by finding that signal. Now all of humanity was preparing for the consequences. In the dark of space, Captain Hyun watched the alien fleet begin its final preparations for the journey to Earth. They were organizing, confident, taking their time. They had no idea what was waiting for them. The storm was gathering. And when it broke, the galaxy would never be the same. Commander Minho Choi stood in the manufacturing facility on Luna's far side, watching robots assemble what would save or doom humanity. The machines worked day and night, building ship after ship, but these weren't real warships. They were ghosts. "How many can we produce?" Admiral Sora asked beside him. 3,000 by the time they arrive," Minho replied. "Maybe more if we push the factories harder." Sora nodded. The ghost ships looked real enough on sensors. They had engines, power cores, and hull signatures that matched actual human warships. But inside, they were empty. No crew, no weapons, no armor worth mentioning. Just sophisticated computer systems and sensor equipment, all designed to make the aliens think Earth's fleet was far larger than it actually was. "Will they fall for it?" Sora wondered aloud. "They will if we sell it right," Minho said. "Everything we've learned about them says they take readings at face value. They don't expect deception on this scale." Across the facility, engineer Narration was working on an even more ambitious project. She stood in a clean room, holding something between her thumb and forefinger. It was smaller than a grain of rice, almost invisible to the naked eye. It was also the most sophisticated surveillance device humanity had ever created. "This is incredible," Dr. Unji said, examining one of the nanodrones under a microscope. "How many have you produced?" 50 billion so far," Nari replied with a tired smile. She hadn't slept properly in a week. "We're launching them tomorrow. They'll spread through the entire solar system, riding solar wind and gravitational currents. Once in place, they'll give us eyes on every cubic meter of space the aliens pass through." Unji shook her head in amazement. "They'll never even know they're being watched. That's the idea. Each drone is passive until activated. No power signature, no emissions. They're basically invisible." Nari picked up another drone. "These little things might save us all." Meanwhile, on a secret military base on Mars, Lieutenant Wu Jinhan was testing humanity's newest weapon. His fighter craft appeared on no official records. The military had denied its existence in 3 separate congressional hearings. But it was very real and very deadly. Wu Jin pushed the throttle forward, accelerating through the Martian atmosphere. Behind him, ground control tried to track his position. They couldn't. The fighter's stealth systems made it appear as nothing more than background radiation, indistinguishable from the natural electromagnetic noise of space. "Ghost 7, please confirm your position." The controller's voice crackled in his helmet. Wu Jin smiled. "I'm directly above your station, 500 meters up. Silence." Then, "That's impossible. We're showing nothing on scopes. Look out your window." Wu Jin tapped his controls, letting the fighter become briefly visible. Below, he could see personnel rushing to the windows of the control tower. He engaged stealth again and accelerated away, vanishing from their sensors before they could lock on. The fighter was armed with kinetic kill vehicles. Simple concept. Devastating execution. Dense metal slugs accelerated to a significant fraction of light speed. No energy signature. No warning. Just pure kinetic force. The aliens' shields were designed to deflect energy weapons and slow-moving projectiles. These weapons would punch through shields like they weren't even there. Back on Earth, Admiral Sora was about to implement the most dangerous part of the plan. She sat across from Dr. Unji in a secure briefing room. "You understand what I'm asking?" Sora said. Unji nodded. "You want me to surrender to them?" "Not surrender. Negotiate. We're going to broadcast that we want to discuss terms, that we're willing to accept some kind of agreement to avoid war. They'll send a diplomatic vessel, and you'll go aboard, as a spy, as our voice." Sora corrected. "But yes, you'll be gathering intelligence. Everything you can learn about their ships, their protocols, their command structure. Most importantly, their psychology." Yunji took a deep breath. "And if they decide to simply take me prisoner, then we proceed with the plan anyway. But I don't think they will. Everything we've learned about the Council species suggests they follow diplomatic protocols religiously. They'll see you as a protected envoy. When do I leave?" "Tomorrow. We're broadcasting the negotiation request tonight." That evening, Earth sent its message to the approaching alien fleet. It was carefully crafted to sound desperate but dignified. Humanity acknowledged it was outmatched. Humanity requested dialogue to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. Humanity was willing to discuss terms for peaceful coexistence. It was exactly what the aliens expected to hear. The response came within hours. The Galactic Council agreed to send a diplomatic vessel to Earth orbit. They would accept one human representative to discuss humanity's surrender and the terms of containment. Captain Hyun watched from the silent promise as the alien diplomatic ship separated from the main fleet. It was massive, 3 times the size of Earth's largest warships. It moved with the confidence of a species that had never known defeat. "They're really doing this," his sensor officer said quietly. "They think they've already won," Hyun replied. "Let's make sure they keep thinking that." Dr. Unji boarded a small shuttle at Luna Station. She carried only a datapad and a small bag of personal items. Hidden in her clothing were several micro-recorders and a neural interface that would let her send encrypted messages back to Earth using quantum entanglement communication. As her shuttle approached the alien vessel, she felt her heart pounding. She was about to meet the species that wanted to imprison humanity forever. She had to smile, negotiate, and betray them all at the same time. The alien ship's docking bay was enormous. Unji's shuttle looked like a child's toy inside it. As she stepped out, she was greeted by representatives from 3 different species. They were tall, elegant, and looked at her with expressions she couldn't quite read. Curiosity? Contempt? Pity? "Welcome, human," one of them said through a translation device. "We are pleased you have chosen dialogue over futile resistance." Unji bowed slightly. "We hope to find a path to peace." "There is only one path," another alien said. "Acceptance of containment. You will return to your home system and cease expansion. This is not negotiable." "Then what are we negotiating?" Unji asked. "The details of your surrender. How many ships you may keep. Which colonies will be dismantled. How we will monitor your compliance." Unji nodded, keeping her face neutral. Inside, she was recording everything. The layout of the ship, the positions of guards, the casual arrogance in their voices. These beings truly believed humanity had no choice but to submit. Over the following days, Unji played her role perfectly. She argued for better terms, pleaded for humanity's right to exist among the stars, and appeared increasingly desperate as the aliens rejected each request. All the while, she was learning. She learned that the 12 species of the Council had never fought together before this. Their communication systems were incompatible, requiring constant translation delays. She learned that 3 of the species were only participating because of political pressure, not genuine belief in the mission. She learned that the Council's fleet commanders had never faced an enemy that used deception as a primary tactic. Most importantly, she learned they were completely confident in their victory. Back in the Sol system, the trap was being set. The Ghost Fleet, deployed in defensive positions around Earth and Mars, appearing on alien sensors as a legitimate defensive force. Nari's nanodrones spread throughout the system on solar winds, taking up positions along every approach vector to Earth. Wujin and his squadron of stealth fighters hid in the shadows of Earth's moon, their systems cold and dark. And the real military fleet, Earth's actual warships, with actual weapons and trained crews, moved into the asteroid belt. There, among millions of chunks of rock and ice, they went completely dark. No power signatures, no communications. Nothing that would show up on a sensor scan. They drifted like debris, indistinguishable from the natural environment. Captain Hyun kept the silent promise near the alien fleet's edge, watching as they prepared for their final approach to Earth. The aliens were taking their time, organizing their massive force into a siege formation. They planned to surround Earth, cut off all supply lines, and force humanity to accept containment through slow starvation. Admiral Sora sat in Luna Command, watching the tactical display. Red icons showed the approaching alien fleet. Blue icons showed humanity's Ghost Fleet in its defensive positions. And there, invisible on the display but very real, were the hidden weapons waiting to spring. "They're entering the outer system," her tactical officer reported. "Estimated time to Earth orbit, 72 hours. Sora looked at Commander Minho. "Is everything ready?" "Yes, Admiral. All pieces are in position. Then we wait. Let them come. Let them surround us. Let them think they've won." Sora smiled grimly. "And then we show them what humanity does best." The alien fleet filled the space around Earth like a closing fist. Captain Daewon Lee watched from his hidden position in the asteroid belt as thousands of enemy ships took up their siege positions. His own vessel, the relentless Dawn, drifted among the rocks with all systems powered down. To any sensor, it was just another piece of space debris. "I count 4,317 confirmed targets," his tactical officer whispered. Though there was no need for quiet in the vacuum of space, the tension made everyone speak softly. Daewon studied the formation on his passive sensors. The aliens had arranged themselves in a wide sphere around Earth, confident and organized. Each species controlled its own section of the sphere, maintaining careful distances from each other. It was a textbook siege formation, straight from some alien military academy. It was also exactly what Admiral Sora had predicted. "Signal to all ships," Daewon ordered. "Continue to hold position. Remain dark until the word is given." Hidden throughout the asteroid belt, 73 actual warships waited. It was Earth's entire military fleet, every vessel that could fight. Against 4,000 alien ships, it seemed like nothing. But Daewon trusted the plan. He had to. On Earth's surface, Colonel Sungbaek walked through the command center of the Planetary Defense Network. Massive railguns pointed at the sky, ready to fire. Orbital defense platforms hung above, bristling with weapons. It looked impressive, and it was, but Seung knew the truth. If the aliens decided to bombard Earth from orbit, there wasn't much the planet's defenses could do against 4,000 warships. The defense network's real purpose was different. It was bait. It made Earth look defended, but vulnerable, drawing the aliens into their siege formation instead of prompting an immediate, overwhelming strike. "Sir, we're getting communication requests from civilian authorities," one of his officers reported. "They want to know if they should evacuate the major cities." Seung shook his head. "Tell them to remain calm and stay in place. If we start evacuating, the aliens will know something is wrong." Aboard the alien diplomatic vessel, Dr. Unji sat across from the Council's chief negotiator. The alien was explaining, with exaggerated patience, exactly how humanity's surrender would proceed. "Your military forces will power down their vessels," the negotiator said. "Our ships will board them and take control. Your colonies beyond this system will be dismantled. Your people will be returned to Earth. It is very simple. On tensivant. On tensivant." Unji pretended to consider this. "And if we refuse these terms, then we will enforce them. We have surrounded your planet. You cannot escape. You cannot fight. You can only accept the inevitable, with dignity, or without it." Unji looked out the viewport at the alien fleet surrounding Earth. From here, she could see dozens of warships, and she knew thousands more waited beyond her view. It looked hopeless. That was the point. "I need to consult with my government," she said quietly. "Of course. You have 12 hours to deliver your answer." As Yunji returned to her quarters on the alien ship, she activated her hidden quantum communicator. The device was barely larger than a coin. Sewn into the lining of her jacket, she sent a simple message. "They're confident. They're not expecting resistance. Proceed." End quote. At Luna Command, Admiral Sora received the message and nodded to herself. She looked at Hana Shin, the young officer responsible for coordinating their surveillance network. "Status of the nano-drones?" Sora asked. Hana pulled up a display that showed the entire Sol system. Tiny green dots filled the space, billions of them, surrounding every alien ship. "All drones are active and transmitting. We have complete coverage of the enemy fleet. Can you identify individual vessels?" "Yes, Admiral. We have full data on every ship. Their shield frequencies, their weapon types, their power signatures, their communication protocols. We know which captains are cautious and which are aggressive. We know which species have better shields and which have better weapons. We know everything." Sora allowed herself a small smile. The aliens thought they were the hunters, carefully surrounding their prey. They didn't realize the prey had been studying them the entire time. "Send all targeting data to Captain Daewon's fleet," Sora ordered, "and activate the Ghost Fleet's final protocol." In his quarters aboard the Relentless Dawn, Daewon received the complete tactical package. His ship's computer processed the data from billions of nano-drones, building a perfect picture of the enemy formation. Every alien ship's exact position, every weakness in their shield coverage, every gap in their defensive formation. Well, he said quietly to himself, now we know where to hit them. The alien fleet's command vessel sat at the center of the formation, coordinating the siege. Its commander was feeling satisfied. The humans had deployed their fleet in defensive positions, exactly as expected. The negotiations were proceeding. Soon, humanity would be contained. And this strange, aggressive species would no longer threaten the Council's orderly galaxy. The commander was reviewing the reports when something changed. Across the formation, human ships began transmitting surrender signals. Not just a few, but hundreds of them. The Ghost Fleet was broadcasting that it was powering down weapons, that it was preparing to accept boarding parties. Excellent, the commander said. They are being reasonable. Prepare boarding teams for. That was when everything went wrong at once. Every single ghost ship detonated simultaneously. 3,000 ships exploded in coordinated blasts, each one releasing a massive electromagnetic pulse. The pulses washed over the alien fleet like invisible waves, disrupting sensors and jamming communication systems. Suddenly, 4,000 warships couldn't see, couldn't talk to each other, couldn't coordinate. In that moment of confusion, Lieutenant Wu Jin and his squadron struck. 50 stealth fighters emerged from the shadows of Earth's moon, each one invisible to the blinded alien sensors. They moved at incredible speed, their kinetic weapons already locked on target. Wu Jin selected the alien command vessel. His fighter released 6 kinetic kill vehicles. Dense metal slugs accelerated to 40% of light speed. They crossed the distance in seconds. The alien ship's shields, designed to stop energy weapons, didn't even slow them down. The slugs punched through the command vessel's hull like it was paper. Explosions bloomed across the massive ship as critical systems failed. The vessel that had been coordinating the entire siege operation went dark. Target destroyed, Wu Jin reported, already moving to his next target. Around him, his squadron was doing the same. The aliens couldn't see them, couldn't track them, couldn't fight back. It was a massacre. Captain Daewon chose that exact moment to spring his trap. All ships, full power, weapons free. Hit them now. The asteroid belt seemed to come alive as 73 warships activated their systems and accelerated toward the alien formation. Daewon had chosen his targets carefully, using the data from the nano-drones. His ships didn't attack the strongest alien vessels. They attacked the weakest points in the formation, where different alien species ships met. The aliens had never really worked together before. Each species had its own communication system, its own tactics, its own command structure. Where their formations connected, there were gaps, delays, confusion. That was where Earth's ships struck. Daewon's relentless dawn targeted a cluster of ships from 2 different species that were supposed to be supporting each other. His weapons tore through the first ship before its shields could fully activate. The explosion damaged 3 nearby vessels. Chaos spread through that section of the formation as the aliens tried to figure out what was happening. Across the battlefield, the same scenario repeated 73 times. Earth's ships would appear, strike at weak points, cause damage and confusion, then retreat before the aliens could respond. They used the debris from destroyed alien ships as cover. They moved unpredictably, abandoning any sense of formation or honor in combat. The aliens tried to adapt, but they were fighting an enemy that didn't follow their rules. A human ship would broadcast a surrender signal, and when aliens moved to accept it, the human ship would open fire. Another human vessel would pretend to be damaged, and when aliens approached to finish it off, the ship would detonate its reactor, taking its attackers with it. Dr. Unji, still aboard the diplomatic vessel, felt the ship shudder as explosions rocked nearby. Alarms blared. The aliens, who had been so confident hours before, now ran through the corridors in panic. She stayed in her quarters, sending continuous intelligence reports to Earth. Which alien commanders were panicking? Which species were trying to retreat? Which ships contained important communication equipment? Admiral Sora watched the tactical display at Luna Command. Red icons were disappearing by the dozens. In the first 3 hours of fighting, 800 alien ships had been destroyed or crippled. Earth's losses were minimal. Only 6 ships damaged badly enough to withdraw from combat. "They're trying to reform their lines," Commander Minho reported. "But they can't coordinate. Half their ships are still blind from the electromagnetic pulses." "Keep the pressure on," Sora ordered. "Don't give them time to organize." The battle raged around Earth. In the chaos and confusion, humanity was proving something the Galactic Council had never imagined. Against superior technology and overwhelming numbers, tactical creativity and willingness to fight dirty could still win wars. The aliens had come expecting an easy victory. Instead, they were learning a painful lesson about underestimating humanity. The battle had been raging for 18 hours, and Yuna Kang was exhausted. The medical bay on Orbital Station, Harmony 3, was filled with wounded soldiers, burns, broken bones, radiation exposure, decompression injuries. Yuna moved from bed to bed, doing what she could to save lives. "Doctor, we have incoming wounded from the destroyer, Pacific Shield," a nurse called out. 15 casualties, 3 critical." Yuna wiped sweat from her forehead and moved to the emergency bay. The Pacific Shield had taken a direct hit from an alien plasma weapon. The wounded arrived on stretchers, some unconscious, others screaming in pain. She went to work immediately, her hands steady despite her exhaustion. As she worked, she could see through the station's windows the flashes of weapons fire in the distance. The battle continued without pause. Earth was winning, but victory was not free. Later, as she took a brief rest, a security officer brought in an unexpected patient, an alien. The creature was injured, bleeding a purple fluid that might have been blood. It looked at Yuna with what might have been fear in its large eyes. "It was found in an escape pod," the security officer explained. Should we what?" Yuna interrupted. "Let it die? No. Put it on that table." She approached the alien carefully. It tried to pull away, making sounds she didn't understand. Yuna held up her hands, trying to appear non-threatening. "I'm a doctor," she said softly, knowing it probably couldn't understand her. "I'm going to help you." She began treating its wounds, using her medical knowledge to guess at alien biology. The creature stopped struggling and watched her with those large eyes. When she finished, it made a sound that might have been gratitude. Over the next few hours, more wounded aliens arrived. Some were rescued from destroyed ships, others pulled from escape pods. Yuna treated them all. As she worked, she began to talk to them, even though they couldn't understand most of her words. She learned their names, or at least sounds that might be names. She saw their fear, their pain, their confusion. These weren't monsters. They were people. Caught up in a war they probably didn't fully understand. One alien, a young one by the look of it, kept repeating a phrase. Yuna asked Lieutenant Minji Seo, the communications specialist, to translate. Minji listened and her expression changed. "It keeps saying, 'I didn't want to come. They made me. I didn't want to fight.'" Yuna looked at the young alien with new understanding. Not all of the council members had wanted this war. Some had been forced into it. At Mars Command, Admiral Ji-won Park was monitoring a different kind of battle. Her fleet wasn't engaged in direct combat. Instead, they were shadowing a group of alien ships that were trying to withdraw from the fight. 4 of the 12 council species had decided they'd had enough. They had entered this war thinking it would be a simple containment operation. Instead, they'd lost hundreds of ships and thousands of crew members, fighting an enemy that used tactics they'd never encountered. Now, they wanted out. "Admiral, the retreating vessels are requesting safe passage," her communications officer reported. "They claim they are abandoning the Council's operation." Hasnam, Ji-won studied the tactical display. These ships were damaged, vulnerable. She could destroy them easily. But should she? "What are your orders, Admiral?" her tactical officer asked. Ji-won thought about the wounded aliens in the medical bays, the young soldiers who hadn't wanted to fight. She thought about the future, about what kind of galaxy humans wanted to live in. Form an escort formation, she ordered. We're going to help them get out of the system safely. Ma'am? The tactical officer looked confused. If we destroy them, the remaining council members will fight to the death because they'll think we'll show no mercy. If we let them go, we split their coalition further. Besides, she added quietly, mercy is a weapon too. Let them go home and tell their people that humans can be dangerous but also honorable. Her fleet moved into position, escorting the withdrawing alien vessels to the edge of the system. Ji-won sent a message that was translated and transmitted to the alien ships. You are leaving human space. Do not return with hostile intent. Tell your people what you saw here. The alien ships left without incident, broadcasting their gratitude. But Ji-won knew not all the council members would be so reasonable. Lieutenant Minji at Luna Command was intercepting alien communications, translating the chaos of the battle. She heard panic, confusion, and increasingly desperate orders. But she also heard something else. Fanaticism. Admiral Sora, you need to hear this, Minji said, playing back a transmission. The message was from the Council's most dedicated members, the 3 species who had started this whole operation. They were refusing to accept defeat. They were talking about a final solution, a weapon they had held in reserve. They're calling it the Planet Killer. Minji translated. They positioned it in the outer system, before the battle started. If they lose, they plan to use it to destroy Earth. The room went silent. Everyone understood what this meant. Even if humanity won the battle, they could still lose everything. Captain Hyun and the Silent Promise had been tracking the alien fleet since the beginning. When they heard about the Planet Killer weapon, they began searching for it immediately. It took 6 hours of careful scanning before they found it. The weapon was enormous, larger than Earth's moon. It sat in the darkness beyond Neptune's orbit, guarded by a small fleet of alien vessels. According to the data Hyun's sensors collected, it was designed to create quantum resonance waves that would tear apart a planet's core. We need to destroy it, his weapons officer said. We can't, Hyun replied. Look at those guards. The moment we attack, they'll activate the weapon. Earth would be destroyed before we could stop them. Then what do we do? Hyun studied the weapon's design, his mind racing. We don't destroy it. We take it. Back at Luna Command, Admiral Sora listened to Hyun's plan. It was insane, risky, and possibly impossible. It was also their only option. You'll need Engineer Nari's help, Sora said. I'm sending her to you with a team. There's something else, Admiral. Captain Daewon's voice came through on another channel. The remaining alien forces are regrouping. They're preparing for a final assault on Earth. They know they're losing, and they're desperate. Sora looked at the tactical display. The alien fleet had been reduced to about 1,200 ships, but they were organizing for one massive, coordinated attack. If they reached Earth's orbit, the casualties would be enormous on both sides. All ships, prepare for defensive operations, Sora ordered. Position yourselves between the alien fleet and Earth. We hold them here. The next hours were brutal. The remaining alien forces, knowing they were fighting for their survival, attacked with desperate fury. They abandoned their careful formations and tactical doctrines, simply throwing themselves at Earth's defenders. Captain Daewon's fleet fought ship to ship in close combat. The relentless Dawn took multiple hits, her shields flashing and failing. Around him, human ships were destroyed, their crews lost. But they held the line. On Earth's surface, Colonel Soong watched as the battle moved closer to the planet. Some alien ships broke through the defensive lines and entered low orbit. His railguns opened fire, sending streams of metal into space. The missiles launched from their silos, adding their firepower to the fight. Sir, multiple impacts on the surface, an officer reported. Debris from destroyed ships is entering the atmosphere. Suong activated the evacuation protocols he'd hoped he wouldn't need. Cities began moving people into underground shelters as pieces of destroyed spacecraft began falling from the sky. The battle that had started in deep space was now literally raining down on Earth. Meanwhile, far from the main battle, Captain Hyun approached the planet killer weapon. Nari and her team had arrived, bringing specialized equipment. The Silent Promise moved slowly, using stealth systems to avoid detection by the guards. "We need to get inside that thing," Nari said, studying the weapon's structure. "If I can access its control systems, I might be able to lock out the alien operators." "Might?" Hyun raised an eyebrow. "This is alien technology we've never seen before." "I'm making educated guesses." Nari smiled, despite the tension. "But they're very educated guesses." Hyun brought his ship alongside the massive weapon. In the silence of space, a small team in spacesuits crossed from the Silent Promise to the weapon's hull. They cut through an access panel and entered. Inside, the weapon was vast and complicated. Nari and her team began working immediately, connecting their equipment to alien systems, trying to understand and subvert the technology that could destroy their world. Back at Luna Command, Admiral Sora was fighting two battles, one against the alien fleet in front of her. She needed Hyun and Nari to succeed before the fanatics activated their doomsday weapon. "Admiral, the alien command frequency is broadcasting," Minji reported. "They're demanding we surrender immediately, or they'll destroy Earth." Sora looked at the tactical display. Her fleet was holding, but barely. Casualties were mounting. And somewhere in the outer system, the fate of Earth hung on whether a reconnaissance captain and a brilliant engineer could steal a planet-killing weapon from under the noses of fanatical aliens. "Tell them we'll consider their terms," Sora replied. "Buy us time." She knew she was gambling with billions of lives. But humanity had been gambling since the moment the alien fleet arrived. So far, against all odds, they were winning. She had to trust they could win this final gamble too. Inside the planet-killer weapon, Nari worked with trembling hands. The alien technology was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Conduits of energy ran through walls that seemed to shift and pulse with their own life. Control systems responded to thoughts rather than touch. It was far beyond anything humanity had built. "I think I understand how it works," she said into her communicator. "The weapon creates a quantum field that resonates with a planet's core. Once activated, it would take about 6 hours to tear Earth apart from the inside." "Can you stop it?" Captain Hyun asked from the Silent Promise. "Better. I can control it." Nari's fingers danced over her equipment, building bridges between human technology and alien systems. "Give me 20 minutes. Outside the weapon, the alien guard ships were growing suspicious. They had detected something near the planet killer, but couldn't get clear readings. Their commander ordered a patrol to investigate. Hyun saw them coming. "We have company. 3 ships approaching. I need more time," Nari replied, not looking up from her work. "Then I'll buy you some." Hyun turned to his crew. "Prepare for combat. Stealth mode off. Let's make some noise." The Silent Promise had never been designed for direct combat. It was a reconnaissance vessel, lightly armed and armored. But Hyun knew he didn't need to win a fight. He just needed to distract the guards long enough. His ship powered up its weapons and fired on the approaching patrol. The shots weren't powerful, but they got attention. The patrol ships returned fire. And suddenly, the quiet darkness erupted with weapons fire. "All guard vessels converging on our position," Hyun's tactical officer reported. "Estimate 30 seconds until they're in range." "Nari, how's that progress?" Hyun called out. Almost there," she muttered, her hands moving faster. Around her, her team was working frantically, connecting cables and entering commands. The guard ships opened fire on the Silent Promise. Hyun's shields flashed as plasma weapons struck them. The ship shuddered. Alarms blared. "Shields at 40%, his engineer reported. Then Nari's voice came through, triumphant. "Got it. The weapon is ours." Are you sure? Hyun asked, dodging another barrage of alien fire. Watch this. Nari activated the planet killer's systems. The massive weapon powered up, its energy signature suddenly blazing across every sensor in the solar system. But instead of pointing at Earth, it rotated slowly until it aimed at the alien guard fleet. The guards immediately ceased fire and began retreating. The planet killer didn't fire, but the threat was clear. If the weapon activated now, it would destroy the guards, not Earth. They're backing off, Hyun's tactical officer said with relief. Nari and her team evacuated the weapon and returned to the Silent Promise. As soon as they were aboard, Hyun transmitted a message to Luna Command. Admiral Sora, the planet killer is under our control. At Luna Command, Admiral Sora allowed herself to breathe for the first time in hours. Well done, Captain. Hold that position. She turned to Dr. Unji, who had been rescued from the alien diplomatic vessel during the chaos of battle. Now we can negotiate from strength. The main alien fleet was in disarray. They had lost more than 3,000 ships. 4 species had withdrawn from the battle. Their command structure was broken. Their planet killer weapon had been captured, and still, Earth's defenders held the line. Admiral Sora opened a channel to the alien forces. To all Council vessels, this is Admiral Sora Nam of Earth's United Defense Fleet. You came here to contain humanity. Instead, you have learned what happens when you underestimate us. Your assault has failed. Your superweapon is now in our possession. You have one option. Negotiate a real peace, or continue fighting until none of you return home. There was a long silence. Then, responses began coming in. Not from the fanatics, but from the reasonable commanders who could see reality clearly. Lieutenant Minji translated the responses. Multiple alien commanders are requesting ceasefire. They want to talk. Then we talk, Sora said. But on our terms this time. The negotiations took place aboard a neutral station that humanity quickly assembled in space. Dr. Unji led the human delegation. Across from her sat representatives from the 8 remaining council species still in the system. They looked very different from the confident beings who had first arrived. They looked tired, shocked, and wary. You fought without honor, one alien said accusingly. You used deception, false surrenders, cowardly tactics. Unji met its eyes calmly. We fought to survive. You brought 4,000 ships to destroy us. Did you expect us to line up in neat rows and let you win easily? Another alien spoke, its voice weary. We did not understand. We thought humans were like us. We thought you would fight as we fight. That was your mistake, Unji replied. You judged us by your standards. You assumed we would play by your rules. But humanity writes its own rules. The negotiations continued for days. Earth's position was strong, but not cruel. Admiral Ji-won's decision to escort the withdrawing ships safely out of the system had created goodwill with some species. Dr. Yuna's treatment of wounded alien prisoners had spread through the alien networks, showing that humans could be merciful as well as dangerous. Finally, a treaty emerged. The Galactic Council would recognize human space as sovereign territory. 4 of the species would establish embassies on Earth, beginning formal diplomatic relations. The remaining 8 would withdraw and maintain a buffer zone. Earth would keep the captured planet killer as insurance. Most importantly, all records of the conflict would be sealed for 100 years, allowing the Council to save face with the broader galactic community. In exchange, they would spread word that humanity was not to be threatened. Commander Minho sat with Admiral Sora as they reviewed the final treaty. We actually did it, he said quietly. We beat an empire. We beat their assumptions about us, Sora corrected. They thought we'd fight fair. They thought we'd give up. They thought we were predictable. She smiled. They were wrong on all counts. 5 years later, the galaxy was a different place. Captain Hyun commanded humanity's first deep exploration fleet, venturing into regions of space the Council had never mapped. His daughter, now a cadet, served aboard his ship. "Father, why did the Council really attack us?" she asked one evening. Hyun looked out at the stars through the viewport. They were afraid. Afraid of how fast we grew, how aggressive we seemed, how different we were. They wanted to cage us before we became too strong. But we weren't that strong. We almost lost. We won because they didn't understand us. They saw our differences as weaknesses. They didn't realize those differences made us adaptable, creative, unpredictable. He put a hand on her shoulder. "Never let anyone tell you that being different is weakness." On Earth, Dr. Unji ran the Interspecies Institute. In her classroom, human and alien students studied together. She often told them the story of the war, not to celebrate violence but to illustrate understanding. The Council species had been in space for thousands of years, she explained. They developed codes of honor, rules of warfare, diplomatic protocols. All of that made them civilized, but it also made them rigid. When they encountered humanity, they tried to fit us into their existing frameworks. It didn't work. A young alien student raised a hand. "Teacher Yoonji, do humans always fight with deception?" Yoonji smiled. "No. We fight with whatever works. Sometimes that's deception. Sometimes it's direct force. Sometimes it's words instead of weapons. That's what makes us adaptable. We don't lock ourselves into one way of doing things." Lieutenant Woo Jin, now a training commander, taught new pilots about the battle. He showed them recordings of the stealth fighter attacks, the ghost fleet detonations, the chaotic close-quarters combat. "You'll notice we never followed standard formation protocols," he told his students. "We didn't maintain proper spacing. We didn't engage in honorable single combat. We didn't give quarter when we had advantage." He paused. "Some call this dishonorable. I call it effective. Your duty is to protect Earth, not to make enemies feel good about how they die." A cadet asked, "Sir, would we fight the same way if the battle happened today?" Woo Jin considered this. "Probably not. We have better technology now, trained forces, established relationships with some alien species, but the principle remains. Use your advantages, exploit enemy weaknesses, and never, ever let them predict what you'll do next." Jisoo, the analyst who had first detected the alien plot, now headed Earth's early warning network. She had a team of hundreds monitoring deep space communications. On her desk sat a small crystal cube, inside it a copy of the first encrypted alien message she had decoded. "Why do you keep that?" a new analyst asked her. "To remember that we're never safe just because we won once," Jisoo replied. "The galaxy is vast. There might be other threats out there. We have to stay vigilant. But we beat the Council. Doesn't that make us safe?" Jisoo shook her head. "It makes us known. Some species will respect us now. Some will fear us. And some will see us as a challenge to overcome. We must always be ready." Admiral Sora had retired, but served as Earth's ambassador to the galactic community. She attended conferences where dozens of species discussed trade, exploration, and peaceful coexistence. The former enemies who had tried to destroy Earth now worked alongside humanity on joint projects. During one conference, an alien diplomat approached her privately. "I was there, you know, at the battle. I commanded a destroyer in the siege fleet." Sora studied the alien. "Now I understand that war was foolish. We feared your expansion without trying to understand you. We saw threat where we could have found partnership." The alien paused. "Your species taught the galaxy a lesson. Power is not just in numbers or technology. It is in adaptability, in thinking beyond conventions, in doing what others believe impossible." "I hope it's a lesson we never have to teach again," Sora replied. At a memorial ceremony on Earth, Captain Daewon stood before a wall inscribed with names. Hundreds of human soldiers had died defending their world. He placed flowers at the base of the memorial. "We won," he said quietly to the names. "But not without cost. Your sacrifice ensured humanity's future among the stars." A young girl approached, placing her own flowers. "Did you know them?" she asked Daewon. "Some of them. They were brave people who did what had to be done. My teacher says the aliens came to make us prisoners." "Is that true?" Daewon nodded. "They did. But we showed them that humanity cannot be caged." At the final session of the Galactic Community meeting, a historic moment occurred. The Council formally invited humanity to join as an equal member. When Earth's delegation arrived, all the assembled aliens stood, not in threat, but in respect. They had learned, through fire and blood, that humanity represented something new in the galaxy. Not conquerors, not victims, but survivors who adapted, improvised, and overcame. Species that could turn certain defeat into victory through sheer creativity and will. As Ambassador Sora took Earth's seat at the galactic table, she remembered Admiral Jiwan's words from years before. "Mercy is a weapon too." Humanity had shown the galaxy both their fierce defense and their capacity for fairness. Both had earned respect. The meeting proceeded with discussions of trade routes, scientific cooperation, and peaceful exploration. Humanity participated as an equal. No longer the unknown threat, but a recognized power. That evening, Sora sent a message to all of Earth. 5 years ago, we faced annihilation. Today, we stand as equals in the galactic community. We won not just a battle, but recognition that humanity deserves its place among the stars. Our differences made us strong. Our adaptability made us victorious, and our wisdom in victory made us respected. The future is ours to build. Across Earth and its colonies, people celebrated. Not the violence of war, but the triumph of survival and recognition. Humanity had passed through fire and emerged transformed. They were no longer alone in the galaxy, but they were no longer helpless either. The aliens had come to end humanity's expansion. Instead, humanity had expanded the galaxy's understanding of what was possible. They had come to impose containment. Instead, they had learned that some species cannot be contained. And in the end, the greatest victory was not that humanity had won the battle. It was that both humans and aliens had learned to coexist, each forever changed by the encounter. The galaxy would never again make the mistake of underestimating humanity.